My name is Alex Audi, and I'm the National President of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. It's an honor to congratulate you on this recognition and to say thank you for the work that you do to keep our roads safe from drunk drivers. Some people say that they generally understand the contributions law enforcement make to our communities. Others still will say that while they may not understand, they appreciate the work that you do to keep them and their families safe. I want to tell you that not only do I understand and appreciate it, I'm married to it. My husband, Zach, is a special victims detective in our home of Lexington, Kentucky. In fact, my two giant dogs are named Sheriff and Sergeant. I say this to tell you from the very beginning that when I say thank you and that I understand the work that you do, you know that I live alongside of it every single day. I came to MADD for the same reason many people do. I was run over by a drunk driver when I was 13. On July 2nd, 2010, I was sitting still on a jet ski behind my dad's house on Lake Harrington. There was a 17-foot bass boat coming under a nearby bridge, and I did what I always knew to do. I gave my mom a thumbs up to let her know I saw him coming and I wasn't going to move. The boat was headed towards my mom and my brother. He banked it to the left and never straightened up. The boat hit me from the side going over 60 miles per hour, threw me off the jet ski, went up over the jet ski. I landed face down in the water and the boat came down on top of my body. I sustained, among many other injuries, a severe traumatic brain injury classified as shaken baby syndrome, a broken neck, and the loss of my right leg. The man who ran me over had multiple prior DUI offenses. 2.5 hours after the crash, he was 3 times over legal limit. I knew soon after the crash that I wanted to be the last little girl that this ever happened to. 11 years later, I know that I wasn't. I also know that because of law enforcement efforts to get drunk drivers off of our roads and waterways, more little girls make it home. As I said before, I married into the law enforcement life. I understand what it is that you do and the sacrifices that you and your families make. I also know the frustration of diligently doing your job when the laws don't always treat drunk driving like the dangerous and deadly crime that it is. I appreciate how hard it is for law enforcement to continue to take people off the water and the roads, only to see them go out and do it again. Even when it's frustrating, please know that every single moment a drunk driver spends off of our roads and off of our waterways was a moment that might have saved someone's life. Many of you see victims of drunk driving on the absolute worst days of their lives, and you don't get to see what happens after. I'm what happens after. I'm the kid you saved because you took a drunk driver off the road or off the water. Maybe you can't imagine the lives that people will lead because you were there, but I can. I hope that by hearing my story, you have the same perspective that my husband has. There's a reason we have to get drunk drivers off the roads, and it's not just because it's our job. Congratulations again on your much deserved recognition, and thank you so much for having me.
Greetings and welcome to our 2021 Virtual Law Enforcement Recognition event. We are so happy you could join us. My name is Patricia Riera. I am the California State Executive Director for Mothers Against Drunk Driving. MADD California wishes to take this time to acknowledge distinguished individuals who change lives one day at a time. Your experiences, expertise, and dedication are invaluable resources to our business model. Therefore, it is MADD California's honor to host and recognize you today. Please accept this recognition as a small token of our appreciation for the risk you take daily to keep our roads safe from impaired drivers, and for the laws you enforce on behalf of victims as prosecutors. You are truly an essential and valuable part of the MADD family. Last year, 2020, was a very difficult year for MADD California, as I'm sure it was for most. We bravely dealt with the COVID-19 pandemic, and then we were saddened when millions of people around the country took to the streets protesting police violence and racial inequality after the death of George Floyd. The alleged accusations of racial disparities by some law enforcement disturbed us most because we know how closely MADD California works with law enforcement on a daily basis. We are always alarmed when we hear allegations of officers acting outside the policies set by agencies we work with. MADD does not condone the use of unnecessary force in any situation and counts on leadership within our partner agencies to handle these situations fairly and justly. However, despite the challenges presented in 2020, MADD staff and volunteers delivered MADD's core programs and services virtually throughout California, all of which are free of charge to the public. These volunteer-based programs include, but are not limited to, victim advocacy, underage drinking prevention programs, community engagement, and the campaign to eliminate drunk and drugged driving. At its core, MADD provides services to victims and families of drunk and drug driving crashes at no cost. Successfully lobby to support stronger drunk driving laws, deliver underage drinking prevention strategies to thousands of teens, and we are single-handedly responsible for changing the apathetic culture surrounding drinking and driving. Impaired driving continues to be a leading cause of deaths and injuries in our country. We applaud you today and throughout the year for your dedication to making our roadways safer. To all the MADD California honorees, congratulations, and thank you for all you do for MADD.
Hi, my name is Natasha Thomas, and I'm the Executive Director for Mothers Against Drunk Driving, Northern California region. I want to take a moment today to honor all of our honorees and their efforts in keeping our roadways safe at our second annual Law Enforcement Recognition event virtually. Hopefully this is our last year that hold this event virtually. We'll get to see you again next year in person and honor you as we always do. We at MADD cannot do the work that we do without you on our roadways, keeping us all safe and saving lives every single day. So from myself, from MADD California, and from MADD across the nation, we want to thank you. And once again, hopefully we get to see you again next year in person where we can celebrate and honor you all. Have a great one.
First, I'd like to thank and congratulate all of the awardees for the tremendous work you all do for our communities to keep us safe from impaired drivers. You willingly put yourselves into harm's way to save lives, and every DUI arrest is a life saved. You give up your nights, your weekends, your holidays, and time with your family and friends for our communities. Thank you for the work that you do. For the Placer County District Attorney's Office, the enforcement and prosecution of impaired driving has been and will always be a top priority. Sadly, we see the tragic and destructive consequences of impaired driving every day. Our mission is to seek justice on behalf of victims, survivors, and families affected by impaired driving, and to hold those who do it accountable. In order to accomplish this mission successfully, we rely on our partners in the community. And there is no more valuable a partner in this effort than with our Sacramento area chapter of MADD. MADD serves as a trusted and reliable partner in the effort to support victims, survivors, and families affected by impaired driving. We partner with MADD to help provide direct services to our families, and we partner with them to assist our victim witness advocates and prosecutors in court. We routinely rely on our partners at MADD to help us guide our victims, survivors, and families through the court process and provide information and answer questions about what to expect. This is some of the most important work that we do, and we couldn't do it without our partners at MADD.
Hello and welcome to the 2021 Mothers Against Drunk Driving Awards. I'm Assistant Chief Josh Ellers of the California Highway Patrol's Valley Division. Today we're here to honor the hard work, dedication, and excellence of MADD staff, our local law enforcement partners, and the CHP. As we all know, impaired driving is the #1 cause of injury and death across our nation's roadways and in California. The tragic nature of this is that all of these events are preventable. Our generational partnership with MADD has educated the public, saved lives, and lowered the mileage death rate. Please remember, designate a sober driver or use alternate forms of transportation. To all of our award winners, we support you. We know what you do makes a difference every day. You save lives, and we appreciate your hard work. Thank you.
We're here to acknowledge the efforts of all the law enforcement professionals who have worked hard to prevent drunk and drug driving throughout 2020. The mission of MADD is to end drunk driving, help fight drug driving, and prevent underage drinking. As a law enforcement professional, I can tell you that the arrests that you are making out there, the effort and the impact is often unseen. but you are all saving countless lives. You're saving the lives of someone's spouse, their partner, sons, daughters, brothers, and sisters, and you're ensuring that they're making it home alive. But we can also fight drunk and drug driving before it even happens by educating businesses and bars to ensure that their servers can recognize when someone shouldn't be served anymore and should be cut off. And we can also encourage patrons to find alternative transportation. Today, in 2021, drunk and drug driving is a 100% preventable crime. There's too many resources and too many options for people to choose instead of driving drunk or drugged. I also want to encourage the law enforcement professionals to continue the hard work they are doing out there. This continues to be a noble, proud profession, and to continue to make those arrests for drunk and drug driving.
I'm Robert Karakoff with Karakoff Law Group. It's my great pleasure to sponsor MADD's Law Enforcement Recognition Awards. This year has been challenging for each and every one of us, but particularly so for those of you in blue, whose work is often dangerous, but is absolutely essential to keep our communities safe. As you know all too well, crashes caused by impaired drivers can be devastating to innocent victims and their families. We sincerely appreciate everything you do to prevent them from happening in the first place and to preserve evidence when necessary. That's why sponsoring this event is important to me and everyone at the firm. We proudly stand with Mothers Against Drunk Driving to honor your commendable and dedicated service to our communities.
On behalf of MADD and Karakoff Law Group, thank you, law enforcement. Thank you!
A year ago, COVID had kind of just started. Myself and our daughter went to run some routine family errands. Me and Ollie loaded up. We went across town. We dropped off the things that we needed to drop off, and we headed back. And on the way home, we were struck at a high rate of speed by a driver who was intoxicated. In that moment, it changed everything dramatically from that point on in all of our lives and our family's life.
It's your worst nightmare almost, you know, it was pretty bad.
Our daughter had been rushed into emergency surgery. I had been through a couple surgeries. And essentially, you know, that left our daughter paraplegic. From the start, I mean, almost immediately, Citrus Heights Police Department obviously was the first entity that was involved in this situation and really took the reins, really tried to be comforting to Jess and just try to be there for us. I think the first day I came home from the hospital or the next day, several officers showed up at the house just to talk, just to see how I was doing.
They showed up at our hospital and it was wonderful because we really just needed to see somebody. COVID had everyone isolated and they came in and made our day. There was 3 male officers that we still talk to and love very much.
Yes, and so, you know, obviously through Citrus Heights Police Department, we were put in contact with MADD as well. And we met Rhonda.
Yeah.
Who's the
angel.
The sweetest lady. Just really went above and beyond. And so, you know, from our family to Citrus Heights Police Department to MADD, to all of you individually who had us in your thoughts, your prayers.
And touched our lives.
We just want to extend a huge thank you, big hugs. We couldn't be more appreciative.
Good morning. My name is Wes Morgan, and I'm a volunteer for Mothers Against Drunk Driving. I'm not a media personality. I'm just a retired cop. I spent 33 years with the Livermore Police Department and retired back in 2010. And now I'm employed by the Alameda County Sheriff's Office as an instructor at the Regional Training Center in Dublin. But my biggest honor year in and year out is since MADD asked me many years ago to be a Master of Ceremony at your Law Enforcement Recognition Luncheon. We want to thank you, myself and Mothers Against Drunk Driving, for the lives you've saved. We don't always think of it that way. We're not talking about impaired driving arrests. We're talking about removing impaired drivers off the road and saving lives. And I want each and every one of you out there to think that you have, in fact, saved lives. On the screen, you'll see a website to make a donation to Mothers Against Drunk Driving. COVID-19 has hit all nonprofits very hard, and MADD is no exception. We're asking you to make a small donation to help with the cost of this event and everything that MADD does. Please check out madd.org and look at all the things these wonderful people are doing for the victims of drunk driving and obviously for the heroes of drunk driving, and that's you. We want to take a moment to recognize those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. We lost 2 law enforcement personnel since our last MADD event in the Sacramento region. And I would be amiss if we didn't recognize these 2 heroes. So please join me in recognizing Deputy Sheriff Adam Gibson, Sacramento County Sheriff's Office, and Officer Jimmy Inn with the Stockton Police Department. And now please join me in a moment of silence on behalf of Deputy Gibson and Officer Inn. Voting under the influence is a serious crime. And we at Mothers Against Drunk Driving want to make sure everyone recognizes that BUI is just as serious as DUI. We are grateful to the law enforcement personnel who are patrolling our waterways, enforcing the BUI laws, and saving lives.
Hello, I'm Brian Korek. My sister's family loved to be on the lake, as many people innocently do. On one fateful day, my sister and my 12-year-old niece were lounging on the back of their boat when a powerboat going twice the posted speed in the wrong direction on a directional lake broadsided their boat, killing them instantly. 4 hours after the collision, the driver's blood alcohol level was measured at 0.18. One of my nephews had to drop out of college for a couple years to handle his grief, and they both still struggle with grief and sadness issues on a daily basis, as do I. With all the suffering my family continues to experience, we want to stop this from happening to anyone else. The Michael and Ina Korek Foundation is passionate to bring about change. That's why we joined forces with MADD to bring awareness to BUI. Today, I am proud to present the 2nd annual Cynthia and Sophie Peterlin Memorial Award to Deputy John Canepa of the San Joaquin Sheriff's Water Safety Unit. They have been doing wellness checks on boaters and finding too many drunk drivers on the water. I am pleased to learn of this technique to prevent more tragic deaths like the one my family experienced. I also want to honor all others who work in BUI enforcement, as every interaction you have on and around the water can prevent the profound suffering of others. I sincerely appreciate your efforts because I know that what you do is saving lives. Thank you.
We are so grateful to the Korek Foundation for their continued support of MADD and their partnership in fighting the crime of BUI. Now, for the first time in many years, we are acknowledging the top prosecutor in our area. We received several nominations, and our committee agreed that the Yolo County DA OTS team has done an outstanding job both educating and prosecuting DUI laws. Thank you to Jordan Greenberg, Alex Kean, and Jesse Richardson.
When I saw that our friends from MADD were looking for a Prosecutor of the Year, I immediately thought, I wonder if they'd accept the nomination for a team. My name's Jonathan Raven. I'm the Chief Deputy at the Yolo County District Attorney's Office. They all work together. They work as a team. They go out and speak to schools. They also offer all sorts of other educational opportunities, and they basically dedicate themselves to this one issue, getting justice for victims in cases involving drug drivers or those under the influence of alcohol and also, as I said earlier, the education intervention piece. So I'm pleased to nominate them and so proud of them that they've been awarded this honor. And I look forward to the work they're going to be doing in the future on this very important cause.
These are our nominees for Rookie of the Year, Northern California. From the California State Parks, Officer Dylan Ayachi. And from the Paradise Police Department, Officer Montana Wood. And the 2020 Rookie of the Year is Officer Montana Wood. And here is her supervisor to share why.
Hello, my name is Sergeant Cameron Kovacs with the Paradise Police Department, and I'd like to share a little bit with you about Officer Montana Wood. Officer Wood came to this department in December of 2019, and being one of our newest members, she has spent the last year and a half, almost year and a half, just being a great example to other officers in her proactivity and just her excitement in her job. Over the year of 2020, Officer Wood made several, really can't count how many times she made traffic stops, enforcing various traffic violations, and many of those contacts and those interactions resulted in DUI investigations. During the year of 2020, Officer Wood led this department in DUI investigations and arrests, resulting in more than 25 arrests for DUI, and helping this community really heal from the tragic fire in 2018 by just providing it a service to keeping the roads safe and making sure that this new community that's being built feels protected. So I want to commend Officer Wood for her efforts and also just being that example of not only what she has accomplished, but really what this town is accomplishing by rebuilding and reforming into a new paradise.
And now for the MADD 2020 Outstanding Service Award. This award is presented to the officer who goes the extra mile, who goes above and beyond to prevent DUI-related deaths and injuries. The nominees for this year's award are from the Stockton office of the California Highway Patrol, Officer Antonio Galinda. Also from Stockton CHP, Officer Miguel Lopez Quinn. And from the Stockton CHP, Officer Alfredo Lopez. Also from the Rohnert Park Department of Public Safety, Officer Kieran Keeney. And from the Stockton Police Department, Officer Sean McPherson. This year, the committee chose to present multiple awards. To Officer Sean McPherson from the Stockton Police Department. Sean, you received this award not only for your outstanding efforts in saving lives and preventing injuries by making 26 DUI arrests, but you're also being recognized for being a lead standardized field sobriety test instructor and training over 100 personnel last year. And you're being recognized for writing a DUI warrant policy to update and reflect the current law, as well as develop a DUI search warrant template that was accepted by the courts and the police officers, allowing the police officers to quickly and lawfully obtain DUI blood draw warrants. So congratulations, Sean. The committee also decided to, for the first time in my memory, decided to present an award to two partners, the same car, if you will. From the Stockton office of the California Highway Patrol, Officer Antonio Galinda and Officer Alfredo Lopez, true partners in crime, in preventing crime.
Hello, this is Officer Jones of alias Smith & Jones out of CHP Stockton, here to wish two officers congratulations on their distinction of Outstanding Officer of the Year. Officer Alfredo Lopez, a 6-year veteran of the Highway Patrol, and Officer Antonio Galindo, an 11-year veteran of the Highway Patrol. What sets these two apart is the fact that they share the same car as graveyard partners, and together have arrested more than 230 DUI drivers. They have saved countless lives in doing so and are passionate and committed to taking DUI drivers off the road. So much so that they have challenged themselves for next year. They have challenged themselves to make 200 DUI arrests each for next year. Challenge accepted. The belt is staying right here at CHP Stockton. See you next year.
And there you have it, the challenge for next year. I can't wait till next year's event to see if we get to those numbers of 200 each. Now for our Century Award winners. These officers made more than 100 DUI arrests in the year of 2020. And again, we would like to think of each one of these arrests as a life saved, injuries prevented, and tragedies that never occurred because of the dedication of these officers. From the Stockton office of the California Highway Patrol, Officer Miguel Lopez Quinn. From 110 DUI arrests. Also from the Stockton office of the Highway Patrol, Officer Alfredo Lopez, 116 DUI arrests. And from CHP Stockton, Officer Antonio Galindo, 120 DUI arrests. And now the top DUI arresting officer in Northern California, Sacramento region. The top cop for the calendar year of 2020 is from the Fairfield Police Department, Officer Kenan Sievers, with 129 DUI arrests. Last year, Kenan missed being the top cop by 22 arrests, but his dedication continued, and out he went last year and made 129 arrests. You are saving lives. So congratulations, Kenan, on 129 arrests and being our top cop for 2020.
Hi, this is Lori Bergenstock from Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and I'm here with Officer Kenan Sievers of Fairfield Police Department, who we are excited to announce is our top cop for the year 2020. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
What are you looking for as you're out there driving around?
We're looking for tons of different things. Specifically, I find a lot of, obviously, DUI drivers drive poorly. So we're looking for a lot of moving violations. Speeding is a big one. We have a major thoroughfare that goes from one end of our city to the other. And we commonly find people speeding on that roadway, and a lot of them, unfortunately, end up to be DUI drivers.
But what does it mean to be the top cop in Northern California?
It's awesome. Like I said, it's been something that I've been working towards and striving for pretty much my entire career. This is I have probably I think 5 regional awards. I have 1 state award, and then last year I had the over 100 Century Award. So it's been something that my entire career I've focused on. So to get the top cop award, it's a huge honor.
Well, we are certainly grateful to you, and keep up the good work, and hopefully we'll see you here as top cop again next year.
Here's to hoping.
Now we would like to recognize an officer who will be retiring this coming October. Officer Chuck Bailey with the Vacaville Police Department. Chuck has been a fixture at our recognition events for many, many years, and it's been my great pleasure to present him with many of his awards. Chuck will be retiring, and at this point, he has made 1,952 DUI arrests in his storied career. He has received the MADD Century Pin 10 times between 2010 in 2019. He was MADD's top arresting officer for the North Bay region 6 years in a row, from 2012 to 2017. And he has been Vacaville PD's top arresting officer for DUIs since 2004. Chuck, take it from an old cop who was blessed to have made 2,000 DUI arrests in my career. I know how hard you work and continue to work to this day. And I would like to personally say, congratulations, Chuck, you are a legend. And I would like to challenge you, Chuck, to make 48 DUI arrests in the next few months and end with at least 2,000 DUI arrests. Again, congratulations and thank you, Chuck. And now the awards that we've all been waiting for the all of you out there for the calendar year 2020. But before we announce these awards, we'd like to recognize an agency, actually Fairfield PD. And what happened after they made a stop on Mother's Day of this last year? It is truly amazing.
Well, hi, I'm Lori Bergenstock, and I'm here today with Lieutenant Josiah Jacobson from Fairfield Police Department. Thanks for joining us.
Not a problem.
Well, I just want to talk a little bit on Mother's Day. You guys had a little bit of a twist on a DUI arrest. Tell me what happened.
Yeah, so myself and actually one of the sergeants were driving up one of our main thoroughfares, North Texas Street, and stumbled across what ended up being a minor collision. We didn't know what it was yet, and it hadn't been dispatched, but ultimately got with the parties, figured out, all right, it was a collision, and the person who would turn out to be at fault was trying to get away. Sergeant was able to go after him, get him stopped, and got everybody together and figured out what we had. And ultimately, very minor fender bender, but as the investigation continued, found out, oh, the driver who was at fault has been drinking. And so one of our patrol officers showed up, and a number of officers worked together. It was a great model of teamwork. Obviously, then it took its own little life on its own, but the officer took over the DUI investigation, determined that the individual had way too much to drink, had a BAC of 0.14, which by itself is very high, but for an event at 12:30 just after noon, really high in that scheme of things. So went through that process, got the DUI portion of the arrest done, and then at the same time while they were inventorying the vehicle, and by the driver's own statements, he's got a bunch of flowers in the back that he's delivering. He's actually a delivery driver this time for a flower shop. So kind of a twist, and then it took it a different angle there, and the officer decided, well, what are we going to do about this? And it was kind of one of those, should we deliver these flowers? Should we not? Yeah, we should. And they ran with it and ended up being about 10 bouquets. A couple of them had chocolates to various residences, and most of these were mothers that didn't know they had flowers coming yet.
We like to make sure people know that your officers are going above and beyond every day, and delivering flowers is huge, but keeping people safe on the road every day is huge. Just talk a little bit about the DUI part of this and what you guys do at Fairfield PD.
Yeah, we're very fortunate that this was only a minor fender bender. And I mean, that's not good in any scheme of things, but we're fortunate that's all it was. Having somebody driving down the road, very intoxicated, almost twice the legal limit, there could have been great tragedy on Mother's Day. And we were able to have a great success story and engagement with the community. That's very fortunate. But the other side of that coin that could have happened was maybe this collision didn't happen and that driver kept going down the road, and then ultimately a major crash happened and something really bad happened where someone was seriously injured or killed.
Before I read each name and each officer who is being recognized for their DUI arrest efforts in the calendar year 2020, I want to let you know of an event that we're going to have this year. We've never done this before here in Northern California. We're going to have a drive-through event to actually pick up your award. The event's going to be on July 17th. There'll be more information to follow. It'll be from 10 a.m. until noon. We are going to be able to present you with your award, and I hope you can show up with that. Normally, I go around the room before we read these names, and I try and find the agency and get correct pronunciation on the officer names. I can't do that virtually, so please bear with me. I'll do my best. we have, as usual, we have some tough names, and I'm going to do my best. So these are the officers being recognized for their DUI efforts in the calendar year of 2020. And they will be read by agency. From the Auburn Police Department, Officer Josh Egan, 19 DUI arrests. From the Ceres Police Department, Officer Adam Hall, 31 DUI arrests. And Officer Kevin Sakasegawa, 33 DUI arrests. From the Citrus Heights Police Department, Officer Ricardo Ramirez, 25 DUI arrests. Officer Jeffrey Thompson, 30 DUI arrests. And Officer David Sviroff, 43 DUI arrests. From the Chico Police Department, Officer Derek Ament, 25 DUI arrests. Officer Andrew Cooper, 37 DUI arrests. Officer Eric Fuchs, 25 DUI arrests. Officer Tyler Hernandez, 25 DUI arrests. And Officer Tucker Stimac, 30 DUI arrests. From the Cotati Police Department, Officer Tyler Wardell, 14 DUI arrests. From the Dixon Police Department, Officer Aaron Williams, 10 DUI arrests. And from the Elk Grove Police Department, Officer Larissa McCammett, 11 DUI arrests. From the Eureka Police Department, Officer Jeremy Solom, 36 DUI arrests. From the Fairfield Police Department, Officer Ryan Parati, 89 DUI arrests. And Officer Kenan Sievers, 129 DUI arrests, our top cop. From the Galt Police Department, Officer Harminder Grewal, 30 DUI arrests. And Officer Rachel Hansen, 34 DUI arrests. From the Grass Valley Police Department, Officer Colton Duncan, 23 DUI arrests. And from the Lincoln Police Department, Officer Dylan Gorbert, 10 DUI arrests. From the Oakdale Police Department, Officer Jordan Tapia, 30 DUI arrests. From the Paradise Police Department, and our Rookie of the Year, Officer Montana Wood, 30 DUI arrests. From the Reading Police Department, Officer Bailey Odell, 42 DUI arrests. And Officer Jacob Provencio, 87 DUI arrests. From the Rio Vista Police Department, Officer Dylan Snedeker, 34 DUI arrests. From the Rockland Police Department, Officer Mark Guillermo, 15 DUI arrests. From the Rohnert Park Public Safety, Officer Kieran Keeney, 35 DUI arrests. And from the Roseville Police Department, Officer Andrew Grinder, 25 DUI arrests. From the Sacramento Police Department, Officer Michael Hamilton, 50 DUI arrests. And Officer Connor Lawrence, 31 DUI arrests. From the Stockton Police Department, Officer Derek Braga, 26 DUI arrests. Officer Carlos Guijon, 32 DUI arrests. Officer Lucas Mack, 30 DUI arrests. Officer Sean McPherson, 26 DUI arrests. Officer Kyle Roberson, 31 DUI arrests. Officer Jeremiah Skaggs, 62 DUI arrests. And Officer Isaac Vanderveen, 52 DUI arrests. And from the Vacaville Police Department, again, congratulations, Chuck, on a storied career. Officer Chuck Bailey, 97 DUI arrests. And from the West Sacramento Police Department, Officer Danielle Erickson, 15 DUI arrests. From the Wheatland Police Department, Officer Bishop Bastian, 12 DUI arrests. Now from our sheriff's offices. From the Placer County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Garrett Byers, 10 DUI arrests. Deputy Wesley Hoskin, 5 DUI arrests. Deputy William Olson, 8 DUI arrests. From the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office, Rancho Cordova Police Department, Officer Stephen Homan, 39 DUI arrests. And from the Yolo County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Kyle Leonard, 7 DUI arrests. From the California Department of Parks and Recreation, from California State Parks, Officer Dylan Ayachi, 2 DUI arrests. Officer Addison Fisher, 11 DUI arrests. And Officer Christopher Glenn, 5 DUI arrests. Now for the California Highway Patrol, Northern Division. From the CHP Clear Lake area, Officer Aaron Limon Guerrero, 26 DUI arrests. From CHP Crescent City area, Officer Josh Cook, 58 DUI arrests. Officer Reed Culver, 27 DUI arrests. Officer Spencer Good, 26 DUI arrests. Officer Rusty Ristad, 25 DUI arrests. Officer Adam Sept, 54 DUI arrests. Officer Daniel Ward, 62 DUI arrests. And Officer Brian Wilson, 27 DUI arrests. From the CHP Humboldt area, Officer Jason Esselman, 36 DUI arrests. Officer Tate Henderson, 27 DUI arrests. Officer Neil Johnson, 45 DUI arrests. Officer Kyle Nielsen, 29 DUI arrests. Officer Manuel Pina, 44 DUI arrests. Officer Terry Scott, 36 DUI arrests. Officer Aaron Taloian, 35 DUI arrests. And Officer Kevin Will, 32 DUI arrests. And from the CHP Quincy area, Officer McLeod Lunty, 15 DUI arrests. From CHP Red Bluff area, Officer Kenneth Baldwin, 26 DUI arrests. Officer Jason Thines, 48 DUI arrests. And Officer Glenn Thomas, 25 DUI arrests. From the CHP Redding area, Officer Chris Ogden, 34 DUI arrests. Officer Phil Price, 42 DUI arrests. From CHP Susanville area, Officer Aaron McLean, 26 DUI arrests. And from the CHP Trinity River area, Officer Philip Moyer, 22 DUI arrests. From CHP Ukiah area, Officer Sean Knudsen, 34 DUI arrests. Officer Matthew Neese, 27 DUI arrests. Officer Nathan Pierce, 31 DUI arrests. Officer Chase Root, 45 DUI arrests. Officer David Rowan, 28 DUI arrests. From CHP Williams area, Officer Edgar Guzman, 29 DUI arrests. And Officer Kyle Zerbel, 32 DUI arrests. And from CHP Wairika area, Officer David Barone, 17 DUI arrests. And Officer Richard Villa Padua, 34 DUI arrests. From CHP Valley Division, from the CHP Auburn area, Officer Brian Call, 30 DUI arrests. Officer Mark McMahon, 36 DUI arrests. Officer Michael Wagoner, 36 DUI arrests. Officer Mike Zerfos, 31 DUI arrests. From CHP Modesto area, Officer Jeff Abrahamson, 48 DUI arrests. Officer Jorge Angolano, 54 DUI arrests. Officer Anthony Bond, 42 DUI arrests. And Officer Paul Camara, 51 DUI arrests. Officer Matthew Denton, 27 DUI arrests. Officer Jason Evans, 52 DUI arrests. Officer Aaron Fay, 39 DUI arrests. Officer Jerry Gammon, 27 DUI arrests. Officer Cody Kepler, 34 DUI arrests. Officer Nathaniel Minnick, 34 DUI arrests. Officer Fuad Masea, 62 DUI arrests. Officer John Nava, 51 DUI arrests. Officer Matthew Pender, 63 DUI arrests. Officer Milton Raphael, 56 DUI arrests. Officer Crespin Romo, 67 DUI arrests. And Officer William Ryland, 34 DUI arrests. Officer Kyle Shepherdson, 31 DUI arrests. Officer Eric Steensma, 32 DUI arrests. Officer Howard Walton, 62 DUI arrests. Officer Eduardo Yepez, 53 DUI arrests. Officer Matthew Urauz, 50 DUI arrests. Officer Jason Zimmerman, 31 DUI arrests. Now, from the CHP Placerville area, Officer Andrew Burnett, 30 DUI arrests. Officer Sean Calloway, 34 DUI arrests. And Officer Armando Montoya, 28 DUI arrests. From the CHP Sacramento area east, Officer Moises Aseguera, 25 DUI arrests. From the CHP Sacramento area north, Officer Jeremy Anselmi, 45 DUI arrests. Officer Austin Bennett, 39 DUI arrests. Officer Lee Bowden, 46 DUI arrests. Officer Lucas Echel, 40 DUI arrests. Officer Brian Galley, 38 DUI arrests. Officer John Jackson, 39 DUI arrests. Officer Josh Johns, 30 DUI arrests. Officer Frank Jorgensen, 44 DUI arrests. And Officer Vitaly Ravchuk, 27 DUI arrests. Officer Eric Laggy, 63 DUI arrests. 61 DUI arrests. Officer Josh Nelson, 30 DUI arrests. Officer Brad Patching, 39 DUI arrests. Officer Tyler Pudge, 44 DUI arrests. Officer Sean Remington, 80 DUI arrests. Officer Justin Walker, 49 DUI arrests. Officer Greg White, 29 DUI arrests. Officer Brandon Whitebear, 70 DUI arrests. Officer Mark Williams, 59 DUI arrests. From CHP Sacramento South, Officer Richard Adams, 36 DUI arrests. Officer Colby Burford, 26 DUI arrests. Officer Brian Foles, 32 DUI arrests. Officer Jeremy Franchini, 68 DUI arrests. Officer Ray Garcia Garon, 47 DUI arrests. Officer Matthew Grassmuck, 32 DUI arrests. Officer Travis Hendricks, 34 DUI arrests. Officer Luis Ramos, 34 DUI arrests. Officer Brian Reed, 30 DUI arrests. Officer Brandon Rogers, 41 DUI arrests. Officer Bradley Ryder, 29 DUI arrests. Officer Stephen Taylor, 26 DUI arrests. Officer Ruslan Trush, 28 DUI arrests. Officer Jonathan Velasquez, 47 DUI arrests. Officer Kyle Walker, 41 DUI arrests. Officer Nicholas Walker, 35 DUI arrests. And Officer Mark Williamson, 25 DUI arrests. Now, from the CHP Sonora area, Officer Josh Mahaney, 37 DUI arrests. Officer Faustino Pulido, 39 DUI arrests. Officer Jaime Hulan, 26 DUI arrests. And Officer Kevin Willingham, 28 DUI arrests. From the CHP Stockton area, Officer Amber Anderson, 37 DUI arrests. Officer Nick Andrews, 56 DUI arrests. Officer Angel Arcia, 25 DUI arrests. Officer Ryan Armstrong, 52 DUI arrests. Officer Timothy Barker, 42 DUI arrests. Officer Cody Brackett, 55 DUI arrests. Officer Mike Carrillo, 50 DUI arrests. Officer Christian Carpenter, 29 DUI arrests. Officer Joshua Case, 37 DUI arrests. Officer Jeffrey Christman, 35 DUI arrests. Officer Dalton Fragat, 48 DUI arrests. Officer Antonio Galindo, 120 DUI arrests. Officer Avery Jones, 58 DUI arrests. Officer Amir Khan, 44 DUI arrests. Officer Zubair Khan, 26 DUI arrests. Officer Alfredo Lopez, 116 DUI arrests. Officer Miguel Lopez Cuen, 110 DUI arrests. Officer Michael Matilde, 34 DUI arrests. Officer Josh Rodriguez, 33 DUI arrests. Officer Courtney Sanford, 64 DUI arrests. Officer Brian Sengo, 36 DUI arrests. Officer Christopher Stoffels, 64 DUI arrests. Officer Jacob Tuggle, 50 DUI arrests. From the CHP Woodland area, Officer Jose Moran, 17 DUI arrests. From the CHP Yuba Sutter area, Officer Skylar Eckerfield, 45 DUI arrests. Officer Keith Fuentes, 32 DUI arrests. Officer John Hughes, 25 DUI arrests. Officer Joshua LaPointe, 26 DUI arrests. Officer Jeremy Quigley, 26 DUI arrests. Officer Francisco Torres, 34 DUI arrests. Again, on behalf of MADD, congratulations to each of you. I want to thank you for your service. You are law enforcement officers in a time when it's never been more difficult. And take it from an old cop, you are succeeding. And you are in our thoughts and prayers. And again, we thank you for your service. Once again, I encourage you to show support for MADD by making a donation. The pandemic has hurt all of us, but in particular, it's really hurt the nonprofits. So please, if you can take a few moments to make a donation to Mothers Against Drunk Driving, we would greatly appreciate it. And I want to thank our sponsors, and I definitely want to thank our volunteers. Each and every one of the volunteers that works so hard for MADD is a hero in their own right. So again, thank you. And we'll see you next year at our 2022 MADD Law Enforcement Recognition Luncheon. Thank you.
On behalf of MADD, we want to thank you for every life you have saved.
And every family spared great heartache. Your diligence and your dedication do make a difference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We love you guys.
Appreciate all you do.
Stay safe.